in database management system, distributed system, and more. But today we are going to talk mainly about Postgres. I am as well a big fan of everything science and chess also. And if you would like to know me better, you can play me a game only chess by scanning this QR code. So a few words about Canonical, my employer. So I think all of you know Ubuntu, and basically Canonical is the company behind Ubuntu. But actually, Canonical is not only about the preferred and most popular Linux distribution. We also provide services around many databases and data stores. So Postgres is one of them, but it's not the only one. We as well offer services for MySQL, open source, Valky, which is the fork of Redis, MongoDB, and other data solutions like Kafka and so on. Yeah, so I will not mention all of them. I just wanted to mention few, probably the most popular ones. And for today's agenda, so we are going to talk, about Postgres extension system first. Then we will try to map, some of the popular extension to their most probably pertinent use case. Then we will move to a demo or work through basically to show you how you can benefit from those extension the canonical way. And we will finish by talking how you can get support for those extensions if you are in enterprise environment. So let's start by Postgres is extension system. So Postgres was built from the ground up to be extensible and versatile. So Postgres allows you basically to add a number of features like additional data types, function or operator, indexes, even procedural languages. Like there is already one for Python, but if you are willing to add another procedural language for your favorite language that is not yet supported, you can theoretically do so using Postgres' extension system. And you can as well use this extension basically API to add utilities and more to PostgreSQL, as we will see later. I believe that the best way to learn is to be hands-on. That's why here I'm starting by providing some prerequisites on how to have basically a playground using LXT, where we launch a VM that we'll use basically as our playground. Yeah. So this is for the setup. Now, thanks to Ubuntu, installing Postgres is as simple as running a single command using sudo apt install PostgreSQL, and that's the same for any Debian-based like distribution. Then you can connect to Postgres using the following command. And first thing that we are going to do is basically uh, uh, like showing all the available extension, which are basically the built-in extension by querying the PG available extensions view from PostgreSQL. And in my version, because I was using in this demo Ubuntu 24.04, which ships Postgres 16 by default. In PostgreSQL 16, you should have 47 extension available by default. Okay, and those basically are the ones that are made available in the contribution module of Postgres. But not all the available extensions are installed by default. In order to check the installed one, we need to query another view by issuing the following query: select star from PG extension. And here, if you are using PostgreSQL 16 like me, you should see one row corresponding to the default procedural language of Postgres. Okay. And how about installing an already available extension? So if you would like to use one of the like built-in extension of PostgreSQL, it's as simple as running a single command, which is create extension and then the name of the extension. Here I am choosing pgstat statement, which is a very useful extension in order to monitor your query and get insight, how they are performing, what they are doing exactly. And in order to check that the installation went successfully, you can query again the PG extension view, and now you should two rows up from the one row that was corresponding to the default procedural language that is shipped with PostgreSQL. It's important to know that most extensions require super user privilege to be installed, not necessarily to be used, but some of them can be installed by non-privileged user basically that have create permission if the extension is marked as trusted. And how do you know that? You know that by querying another very useful view, which is the PG available extension versions. And there, one of the columns is named trusted, and if it's set to yes or true, then a regular user with the correct privilege can install it. Let's move to the installation of a third-party extension. So as I said, there are around 50 built-in extension of PostgreSQL, but there are many more third-party extensions that are not shipped by default with PostgreSQL. In order to install those, it's quite simple. You need first, to install the dependency of that extension. And in Ubuntu is as simple as sudo apt install and then the name of the extension. You need to check, of course, if the extension packages are available in the Ubuntu version that you are using. And if it's the case, then everything should be installed in the default location as it should be. And then if you connect again to PostgreSQL and run the same command as before, so querying the PG available extension, but here we are filtering by name to just keep PostGIS, then you should see, a row as it's shown below. Yeah. And then in order to install the extension, you just again need to run one simple command, which is create extension PostGIS. Okay. It's important as well to know that some of the extension, will need some, like other dependencies or other extension to work, and other extension will, come with other, sub extension that they will install by default. So that's why you might see more extension than you might expect when you install a specific, extension. But that should be normal. Now that we did cover basically how to install extension and the difference between available, installed, and trusted and not trusted, let's go into the use cases that those extension allow you to cover. And the first kind of use case that you will start with is the search use case. And when I say search here, it can mean two things. So either it is about vector search, and nowadays with the hype around AI and so on, we talk a lot about vector databases. But actually, just with an extension like PG Vector, you can basically make your existing PostgreSQL database, act as if it is a vector database. So PG similarity is another one that is there since a moment. It's of course different from PG vector, but it can help in vector-based search. Yeah. An important information is that PG vector is not GPU enabled, so it will not, like use any GPU acceleration. But we are in talk with silicon vendors to basically make PG vector use efficiently some of the CPU extension like EVX 512 to basically leverage CPU acceleration for vector search. And unlike what probably many people believe, you don't need only GPU, or you can use CPU as well to accelerate your searches there. Another area where Postgres really shines is text search. And again, it might be a surprise for a few people, but actually PostgreSQL database can be a very decent search database as well, using some of the built-in extension. And I think most of the ones that you do see here are already built in, or as well some of the like third-party extension. So here we are mentioning PG trigram, fuzzy, string match, and accent, and so on. And there is really a lot to pick up from in relation to text search, and I think you should be happy with Postgres for the biggest majority of your search use cases. Another area where PostgreSQL shines is analytical use cases, not only because of the extension that we will mention just after, but because Postgres has a very good support for, sorry, has a very good support for the SQL standard, and all the like one-doing function and so on that you might need to use in analytical function are very well supported. in Postgres since a moment, and you could rely on basically on those in order to run your analytical queries. But you can as well supercharge your PostgreSQL installation by some of those extensions. For example, timescale DB, which allows you basically to transform Postgres in a time series database. And again, probably now you see a pattern. You don't need an additional database necessarily to handle your time series use cases. You can do so with Postgres by adding timescale DB, for example, as an extension. And it's important to know that timescale DB comes with two flavors or licenses. So one which is Apache 2, that is basically fully open source, and the other one which is uh, you can basically use it if you are like operating your Postgres yourself and you are not providing it as a SaaS service. And on top of Ubuntu, we can support basically both. IDRA is basically an extension that makes your PostgreSQL database run if it was like if it was a columnar, oriented database. So by default, PostgreSQL databases and many other relational databases will store the data in rows. Okay, when you are using columnar storage engine, basically the data is stored in columnar format. So basically, they will aggregate the columns, the values belong to the same column together, and this enables a number of optimization like better compression, like better IO when you are requesting specific columns and as you typically do, and so on. Citus is another worth noting extension that basically allows you to have database manager sharding. And why this is important for analytical use cases. So if you are managing a big number of data and you cannot, let's say, add resources to your existing servers to accommodate that growth, then you can, like basically use sharding to distribute your data over different nodes and let the database manage, basically that distribution for you. PGStorm is about GPU acceleration. So as I mentioned, Postgres throughout some specific extension can leverage CPU acceleration, but can as well leverage GPU acceleration in order to accelerate your query, which is very important when you are performing analytical queries over large data sets. Another important area that is, I think, at least in my opinion, not as well known, and it deserves to be more known and more used, is the foreign data wrappers that are supported by Postgres. So basically, foreign data wrappers are, like ways that allows one PostgreSQL instance to connect to other databases. Those databases can be other PostgreSQL instances or other, types of databases like MySQL databases, Oracle database, and so on, and act like if the data was basically within the original or the origin PostgreSQL instance. So basically Postgres, throughout the correct foreign data wrapper, by configuring it correctly to give it credential to access the other database, can fetch data from those databases and perform query on top of them, like if they were like copied internally in that PostgreSQL database. So this is useful to run analytical queries in a heterogeneous environment where you have different database engines that are in use. You need to aggregate data from those sources. It can as well be very useful when you are migrating from one database engine to PostgreSQL. Another, you know, um, use case where Postgres is really very strong is Geospatial data handling. And there, definitely the most popular and the most successful, extension by far is Postgres, that basically allow you to have specialized geospatial data types, but as well specialized indexes. And PG routing basically comes to complement Postgres with routing capability. And I think with those two extensions, you should be happily meeting any geospatial need. Yeah. Another set of extensions that might be very important in regulated environment where basically you need to audit the action of your users and so on. Those are PG audit and PG crypto. So PG audit, as the name implies, allows you to audit all the action happening on your instance. You can configure exactly what's being audited, what's logged, and at which level. You can as well throughout pgaudit and the related extension, control how the privileges are escalated from one user to the other and make those escalation logged in PostgreSQL. pgcrypto is about cryptographic functions, and it can be very useful if you are in need of performing like encryption on specific data within your data. We are not talking about things like encrypting the full database, but you can choose to like encrypt a subset of your data using specific cryptographic functions. So that can be definitely very useful. Other utilities, and it's not really use case, but a group of or a family of extension that can be useful. So pgcron is probably one of the most popular one, where basically you can have cron tab like scheduling within your PostgreSQL without the need of an external dependency, and that's very useful in many scenarios. pgstat statement, we talked about that before, so we will not repeat. Failover is an extension that allows you to have automatic failover between different instances of your PostgreSQL installation. You can think of it as an alternative to Patroni, a tool that we are using internally in our automation for Postgres, as you will see later. And here I'm finishing by saying that at Canonical we combine more than 50 popular extensions that are not only combined but tightly integrated together, tested and released in a single artifact. Because it's one thing to add one extension to PostgreSQL installation. It's another thing if you would like to add a number of extensions and make sure that they work together. Of course, some of those extensions are orthogonal and cannot work at the same time, but throughout our testing and automation, we make sure that you can at least install all of these. Yeah. Of course, our artifact is not only about pre-packaged extension, but it's as well about automated deployment, automated high availability with built-in replication, automatic failover. Uh, our solution as well comes with a full observability solution based on Prometheus and Grafana, and we as well can help you automate cross-region replication, backup, and restore so that you are ready to meet your disaster recovery and business continuity requirement. And now we are going to show you how you can enable and benefit from the extension the canonical way. So here again, we are starting by showing the commands that you need to execute in order to have a playground that here we call demo. And we start by installing our operator framework, which is Juju, using the sudo snap install command. And then we use LXD basically to be the backing cloud. So as you might have heard, I hope, that Juju can work with a variety of clouds. It can work with, the popular public clouds like Amazon and Google Cloud and so on. And can work on top of their KTS, so Kubernetes distribution, but as well on top of their, yes, like EC2 and so on, which is something, not coming among the operator. And I think, as far as I know, it's exclusive to our operator framework, the fact that it can work on top of Kubernetes distribution, any CNCF certified distribution, but as well on top of many of the assets of the cloud provider, and as well on top of your private cloud, as we are showing here in our demo. So here we are starting by initializing LXD and disabling IPv6, because unless you are in need for IPv6, then we recommend disabling it. Then next step is to bootstrap Juju, basically to tell him that we are going to use our localhost and LXD as the backend cloud. And then we are starting by adding a namespace where we are going to deploy our PostgreSQL database. So as you might have seen, deploying a PostgreSQL database is as simple as running one command, which is usually deploy. The name of the operator, it's PostgreSQL, then you specify the channel. Here I am putting candidate, but if you are running our automation in your production environment, then definitely we recommend using only, the stable channel. So it will be 14/stable. And here we are supplying a config parameter that we are calling profile testing, just to reduce the memory consumption and resource consumption of the PostgreSQL installation. As you see as well, sorry for that, uh, scaling PostgreSQL is as simple as running another single command, which is juju add unit PostgreSQL, and then the number of units to add. Here is just one. And enabling an extension is as simple as running the following, configuration: juju config PostgreSQL plugin postgis enable true, and that's it. And actually, you can do the same for all the extensions that are listed under that link. You can as well scan the QR code if you would like to go there, using your phone. And we are supporting already around 50, and it's still growing. It will keep growing. And I know that at the first sight, it might look like magic, which of course not, but it's rather, a lot of engineering that was, put in order to make it look simple. If you would like to check an in-depth explanation on how the PostgreSQL operator works and what are the objects, that are being created by both our operator framework and our PostgreSQL operator, then invite you to check this video that you can, go to through this QR code. And I hope you will find all the answers that you look for. Of course, if you have questions about that or any question related to PostgreSQL extension, please ask them in the chat, and I will do my best, myself and my colleagues, to respond to you. Uh, Another good news here is that Charmot PostgreSQL, which is the name that we give to all the services that are provided by Canonical around Postgres, entered GA today, actually, and you can read the announcement using the QR code again, or searching for the title, using your preferred, search engine. And basically, what we are saying here is that we think that it's already, it's ready for, most of the enterprise needs. Actually, Sharon Postgres is already used by several companies, but here we think that from feature set perspective and from supportability perspective, we should be able to meet most of the enterprise needs, that we will talk about them in a bit. So if you are in an enterprise environment and you are seeking for support for Postgres, then by buying Ubuntu Pro, you can get up to 10 years of security maintenance, and you can as well have hardening configuration. So of course for the OS itself, but we can as well help you, and guide you throughout your hardening of the databases themselves, of the PostgreSQL instance themselves, obviously. We have flexible, support options to fit your need and your constraint. So we can provide 24/5 support with up to 4 hours response time. If that's enough for you, we can as well provide 24/7 support with up to 1 hour response time. We can as well provide what we call firefighting support, which basically means that one of our experts will jump in your critical, incident within 1 hour, and will guide yourself or your people using screen sharing, in the investigation and the resolution of the issue. Hopefully, the other type of support that we can provide is what we call Canonical Managed Service, where basically our database expert will go and manage your fleet of PostgreSQL databases on behalf of your team. If you don't have enough resources, or if you would like to offload some of your teams from, the burden that they have already managing, their PostgreSQL databases. If you are not, in that stage already, and you are rather seeking, guidance on what are the extensions that you need to use for your specific use cases, or what is the architecture, deployment architecture of Postgres that you need in order to satisfy your, SLAs, then we have other offering that can help you meet exactly that. So we can provide you workshops, whether on site or remotely, where we go and deep dive into your use cases. We provide, together with your people, high-level design that matches your requirement, and we provide all the best practices regarding PostgreSQL deployment. Um, as a result of that workshop, we can as well help you perform proof of concept and deploy basically a fully functional PostgreSQL deployment that matches the needs that we would have defined, for example, during the workshop, in your either private cloud or in your tenants in any public cloud that you might have chosen already. We can as well provide upskilling and training offering on PostgreSQL and on the automation, our automation around PostgreSQL, throughout knowledge bases, throughout as well hands-on lab, remote or on-site again. And hopefully with all those advisory services, that is how we call them, we should basically help you succeed in your journey of adopting PostgreSQL. Uh, you can as well say that there are more than 1,000 extension, as you can check in, using that link or using the QR code actually. So what if you need more than the 50 that you support, even if, okay, that number keep growing, what if you need like, 3 or more specifically in your installation? And we have an answer for you because, recently we announced what we call it everything LTH, which basically, if you have a package, if you have an extension, PostgreSQL extension, for example, that we don't support yet, then, we can provide you basically an offer based on dependencies of that PostgreSQL extension, and, help you basically get support for it for up to 12 years in this particular case. So unlike some of the other players, when we say supported canonical, we don't only support like the first level of dependency, we support all the, relative and the tree of dependency for that particular extension of that package. So if you are in that case, please contact us and hopefully we will, help you meet your needs. I think I went throughout all the points that I had in mind, and I kept a good amount of questions. I hope that we will be getting some. So, do we have any questions that we can answer? Okay, I see some questions. Is there any limit or hindrance on using extension throughout dbeaver and similar managers? I'm not knowledgeable enough in dbeaver, so I don't know really about that. Why, James? So another question from James: why are not using apt get? Why the concept need to change package manager like Juju Snap and so on? So this is how we, at least I recommend installing Juju for really, this demo. But if you are happy with another way, please feel free to do that. I mean, we don't have any position against other ways of installing those dependencies, unlike with what probably you might think. Okay. Uh, okay. I think that's it. Let me just check if we have question from other channels. Anyway, I will be monitoring, let's say, the blog, the basically the page where this recording will be available. And if you have question by then, just please ask them as a comment and I will do my best to answer them. Okay, I see. Other question, like how to effectively manage binary files and images in Postgres. So it's unclear for me what is exactly the question behind that, because you can just store them as binary files. I mean, I don't know if the question is about uh, like how to index them or so on. Sorry, it's unclear if you can like clarify the question, but just storing them in like whatever log type that you need would be good enough. You can add like probably few columns together with the binary format just to be able basically to query them effectively. That would be like the first thing that comes to my mind. But if the question was not about that, please Vaclav, ask it again and clarify your need. How much is this bundle of 50 extension help my data warehouse of a financial sector? Well, I think we have, you know, everything that you might need there, but if Imran, you prove us to be wrong, again, we can discuss and we can, like make you an effort to cover whatever extension that you might need on top. Uh, can I see what you mean, Vaclav. There was issue with space fragmentation. So okay, I am sorry I will not be able to help you live like this because I think we will, ideally we would have access to your environment to give that answer. I really cannot give you a hint from where that could be just by looking like that, by looking at it like that. Yeah, someone was asking as well if the presentation will be provided as PDF. If it's of use for you, then of course we will make it available as a PDF. Uh, okay. And Postgres. Sorry, I'm trying to read all the question. Okay. I think we answered all the ones that we did receive. And again, if for whatever reason another question comes to you later on, we will post this, recording in LinkedIn and Bright Talk and probably other platforms. So just, comment on those, posts, and I will be happily responding to them if I can, obviously. Thank you a lot, everyone, and have a great day ahead. See you.